I wish I had been given the opportunity to be the guy. Jeff Blake had the arm of a star, but never the loyalty of a franchise. That regret defined a career full of Pro Bowl stats, highlight reel throws, and missed opportunities. The talent was never the issue. The support was. So what if Blake had landed on a team that actually believed in him? This is the what-if story of Jeff Blake, one of the NFL's most electric quarterbacks, trapped on teams that couldn't keep up. Jeff Blake entered the NFL quietly, a sixth-round pick with no fanfare, no expectations, and no real shot. Buried on the Jets' depth chart, he saw only garbage-time snaps before being cut loose in 1993. By most accounts, his career was already over. Then came Cincinnati. The Bengals of the early 90s were lost. Endless losing, unstable coaching, and a fan base slipping into apathy. When Blake arrived in 1994, he was just another backup, until October 2nd, when an injury thrust him into a start against the defending champion Cowboys. That's when everything changed. Blake threw for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns, nearly upsetting Dallas. He moved, improvised, and uncorked deep balls with a swagger the Bengals hadn't seen in years. Fans noticed. So did the league. By 1995, Blake had earned the starting job and lit the NFL on fire. He threw for 3,822 yards and 28 touchdowns, made the Pro Bowl, and turned a stagnant Bengals offense into a must-watch show. His bombs to Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott were weekly highlights, and Cincinnati rallied behind their new identity. Shaken Blake wasn't just a nickname, it was a phenomenon. A rap song, a marketing campaign, a reason to believe. In the '95 Pro Bowl, Blake unleashed a 92-yard touchdown pass, a record that still stands. It wasn't just a flex, it was a message. This guy's arm belonged with the best. For a moment, Blake gave Cincinnati something it hadn't had in years, hope. But even as he soared, the cracks showed. The defense was bottom tier. The offensive line broke down. The coaching staff churned. In 1995, despite Blake's fireworks, the Bengals finished 7-9. That became the story. Blake delivered. The team didn't. Year after year, he posted strong numbers. 3,000-yard seasons, highlight throws, fourth-quarter heroics. But the support was never there. The team cycled through systems. The defense kept bleeding points, and Blake was left carrying the weight, alone. Still, he kept firing, kept launching bombs that hung in the air like art, kept giving Bengals fans a reason to care. But every touchdown pass came with a question. How far could this team go if they actually built around him? By the end of the decade, the Shaken Blake era faded, not because Blake changed, but because Cincinnati never changed with him. They chased new coaches, new quarterbacks, and left one of the league's most electric arms behind. What followed wasn't a fall. It was a slow unraveling of a career that deserved so much more. And the deeper Blake went into the league, the clearer the truth became. Talent wasn't the problem. Circumstance was. Jeff Blake's biggest obstacle was never talent. It was everything around him. During his 6 seasons as the Bengals starter, their defense ranked, on average, 24th in points allowed. That's not just bad, that's terminal. It meant Blake wasn't playing to win. He was playing to survive, chasing points, playing from behind, knowing that every mistake might be one the defense couldn't recover from. In 1995, he lit up the defending Super Bowl champion Cowboys for 3 touchdowns and kept Cincinnati within striking distance to the final drive. But the defense collapsed late, again. A game that could have been a statement win, just another almost. That was the pattern. Blake put up numbers, over 18,000 passing yards and 119 touchdowns with the Bengals. But the wins never came. Not because he couldn't deliver, but because he was outgunned, outmanned, and outsupported. Still, he never cracked. Coaches praised his poise. Teammates trusted him to rally the offense after every defensive breakdown. He kept firing, kept scrambling, kept fighting. Even when the scoreboard and the roster stacked the odds against him. And it didn't stop in Cincinnati. In 2000, Blake went to New Orleans and brought the Saints to life. He started 7-3 and built instant chemistry with Joe Horn. Then came a broken foot. The team handed the keys to Aaron Brooks and never looked back. Baltimore came next in 2002. Rebuilding roster, patchwork defense. Still, Blake gave them 13 starts, over 2,000 yards, and a 336-yard performance against the Steelers. But once again, no long-term vision, no commitment. Arizona, Philadelphia, Chicago, 5 teams in 6 years. All of them looking for a bridge, not a builder. Jeff Blake didn't fall off. He was phased out. By 2022, Blake said it plainly. "I never had a team build around me." That wasn't ego, that was truth. In 1996, the Bengals went 8-8, Blake's only non-losing season. It should have been a turning point. But instead of investing, the team shuffled through coaches, playbooks, and priorities until the foundation crumbled. They moved on. Blake never stopped producing, but the narrative changed. The league saw him as a stopgap, a backup, a mentor to the next guy, not the guy. And in a league where perception becomes reality, that label stuck. Never mind the Pro Bowl, never mind the deep ball wizardry, never mind that he was a mobile quarterback before that was cool. The NFL never stopped admiring Jeff Blake. It just never stopped overlooking him either. Because his story isn't about decline, it's about denial. Talent doesn't guarantee opportunity, and opportunity doesn't always go to the most deserving. Jeff Blake's legacy isn't built on rings, it's built on what he did without them. 21,711 passing yards, 134 touchdowns, 2,027 rushing yards, 100 career starts, and no franchise that ever truly committed. That's not just a resume, that's a warning shot about what happens when elite talent meets the wrong circumstances. Blake's deep ball was a weapon, not hype, not folklore. He could launch 50-yard bombs with wrist flicks and hit receivers in stride. Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott flourished because of it. In 1995 and 1996 alone, Pickens caught 218 passes for 2,700-plus yards and 25 touchdowns. That wasn't a system, that was Blake. And he wasn't just a pocket statue with a cannon. He ran, he improvised, he survived. 2,000-plus rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. In an era that didn't value mobility, Blake was already playing tomorrow's game. He kept drives alive with his legs. He extended plays no one else could. He made defenses pay for every mistake. Now drop that quarterback into the 1990s Bengals, a team defined by chaos, a bottom-5 defense, and a home field with concrete under the turf. Blake took hit after hit on old-school AstroTurf, where falling meant bruises, not bounce. "Every game was a battle," he said. "Every time I got hit, I felt it." Today's quarterbacks get rules. Blake got wrecked, and still, he showed up and delivered, week after week. His highlight reel isn't just flash, it's evidence. The 92-yard Pro Bowl bomb? Still a record. But it wasn't just a pretty throw, it was a statement. This arm belonged on the biggest stage. But Blake didn't get that stage. He got excuses, he got moved, he got replaced. The closest comparison, Warren Moon. Another quarterback who had to fight to be seen, despite undeniable skill. Moon came through the CFL. Blake came through bad teams and worse timing. Both had to prove, over and over, that talent didn't mean automatic opportunity, because the league wasn't built to reward quarterbacks like them. Even after the NFL, Blake gave back. At IMG Academy and Valley Sports Academy, he coached young quarterbacks, teaching them how to fight for every rep, every snap, every inch. He didn't just pass on mechanics, he passed on mindset, the kind that kept him in the league long after the spotlight moved on. Jeff Blake never had the perfect team, but he still made plays that forced you to notice, still earned the respect of teammates, coaches, and defenders, still carved out a legacy built on adaptability, grit, and raw, unshakable talent. Because sometimes, success isn't about what you get handed. It's about what you do with nothing. And Jeff Blake, he made something unforgettable out of every broken situation he walked into. Jeff Blake never got a Super Bowl, never got a franchise that built around him, but he still gave the game 21,000-plus passing yards, 134 touchdowns, and a Pro Bowl bomb that's still in the record books. Today, he coaches young quarterbacks, passing down the fight it took to last 14 years in a league that never handed him anything. Because Jeff Blake's legacy isn't built on what he was given. It's built on what he made out of nothing. And for every quarterback overlooked, underestimated, or written off, his story is the blueprint.